Have you ever wondered if the very foods you trust the most, the ones you proudly snack on because you believe they're healthy, might be quietly damaging your kidneys every single day? I know that sounds shocking, maybe even unsettling, but far too many people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s are walking around completely unaware that something as innocent as a handful of nuts could push their kidneys closer to failure without making a sound. And the most frightening part is that the early warnings are silent until suddenly they're not. As a nephrologist, I'm Dr. Johnny, and I've seen this disaster unfold more times than I wish I had. People who thought they were doing everything right, eating clean, choosing plant-based snacks, following all the advice they were told, only to discover that one small daily habit was quietly accelerating inflammation, mineral overload, and kidney decline. But you don't have to be the next person blindsided by this. Not today. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which nuts can overload your kidneys, raise your phosphorus and oxalate levels, and even trigger sudden kidney injury. And I'll show you which nuts can actually protect your kidneys, instead lowering inflammation and supporting long-term filtration. By the end of this video, you won't just know what to avoid, you'll know precisely what to choose so your kidneys can breathe again, function better, and stay strong for years ahead. And the truth is, once you understand why these three harmful nuts cause such damage, what you'll learn next will completely change the way you think about healthy eating. Because sometimes the things marketed as the best for us are the very things placing the heaviest burden on our kidneys, and recognizing that hidden danger is the first step toward taking back control of your health. Let's start with a nut. Almost nobody suspects a nut so tiny and innocent looking that most people sprinkle it on salads without a second thought: pine nuts. And this is where the shock begins, because pine nuts are one of the fastest ways to overload your kidneys without you ever realizing what's happening. They're small, they're buttery, they're delicious, but inside those tiny kernels is a mineral combination that silently pushes your kidneys toward exhaustion. I remember a patient named Melissa, a 62-year-old retired teacher who came to my clinic confused about why her phosphorus levels kept climbing, even though she'd switched to what she believed was a clean Mediterranean diet. She didn't eat junk food, she didn't snack on chips, she didn't touch soda, but every evening she made herself a bowl of roasted vegetables topped generously with, you guessed it, pine nuts. She thought she was doing her body a favor. Instead, her kidneys were fighting a battle she couldn't see. Here's the scientific truth: just 1 ounce of pine nuts contains nearly 200 millimoles of phosphorus, 170 millimoles of potassium, and close to 5 grams of protein. For a healthy 20-year-old with perfect kidneys, that may not sound alarming. But for someone over 50, someone whose kidneys are naturally filtering slower year after year, that mineral load can become a real threat. When phosphorus rises faster than your kidneys can eliminate it, your body begins pulling calcium out of your bones to balance it. The calcium doesn't just disappear, it hardens inside your blood vessels, your heart valves, your soft tissues, creating what Mayo Clinic researchers call the bone vessel axis, a dangerous cascade that speeds up kidney decline. And here's the other trap: pine nuts are almost impossible to portion correctly. They're small, they're light, and recipes often call for a handful or a sprinkling, which sounds harmless, but often equals 2 or 3 servings. So instead of eating a teaspoon, people eat a quarter cup, and that's when trouble begins. Let me ask you this: have you ever added pine nuts to pasta or salad, thinking it was the healthier choice? If yes, drop a comment below, because you're not alone, and your story might help someone else catch this mistake early. But what makes pine nuts truly dangerous is not the flavor, not the fat, not the calories, it's how quietly they overwhelm the kidneys. Kidney stress doesn't scream, it whispers. It builds day after day until one blood test suddenly shows your phosphorus creeping upward, your GFR slipping downward, and you wonder, how did this happen? Pine nuts are the classic example of a healthy food that can be unhealthy when your kidneys are no longer filtering like they used to. And this is exactly why understanding pine nuts is only the beginning, because the next nut on our list is even more deceptive, far more common, and far more silently destructive. But knowing this one danger isn't enough, because the next nut carries a different threat altogether. And it's a nut most people eat every single week without realizing the risk. If pine nuts are the silent troublemaker, then cashews are the friendly-looking imposter, the nut that appears safe, wholesome, and even heart-healthy, yet carries a hidden danger for anyone with vulnerable kidneys. And the irony is almost cruel. Cashews look exactly like little kidneys, but they can harm the very organs they resemble. Most people never see it coming. One of my patients, Robert, a 58-year-old truck driver, learned this lesson the hard way. He had switched from fast food to plant-based eating, feeling proud every time he snacked on a handful of cashews while driving long routes. He even replaced dairy with cashew cheese, thinking it was the healthier modern choice. But within months, his lab results told a different story. Rising creatinine, signs of inflammation, and microscopic crystal formation in his urine. He was stunned. Cashews. Really, that's what did this? Yes, and here's why. Cashews contain roughly 47 milligrams of oxalates per ounce. And while that number might seem modest compared to spinach or almonds, it's still more than enough to cause problems, especially when eaten regularly. Oxalates bind with calcium to form crystals, and those crystals can lodge anywhere in the kidney, the tubules, the pelvis, even the tissue itself. When they do, they trigger inflammation, scarring, and in severe cases, oxalate nephropathy, a condition documented by Johns Hopkins, where kidney function can drop suddenly and dramatically. But it gets worse. Cashews also contain 150 milligrams of phosphorus and 180 milligrams of potassium per ounce, numbers that stack up fast when you snack mindlessly. And in today's food environment, cashews are everywhere. Cashew milk, cashew, yogurt, cashew, cream, vegan cheese, vegan sauces, vegan dips. What used to be a small handful has now multiplied into hidden servings inside multiple meals. Let me ask you, have you checked how often cashews appear in your kitchen? You might be surprised. Tell me in the comments if you've ever replaced dairy with cashew-based products. I want to know how many people are unknowingly walking into this trap. Science backs this up clearly. Several case studies show that high cashew intake, especially when consumed daily, can lead to crystal buildup, elevated creatinine, and measurable decreases in filtration rate. And unlike sodium or sugar spikes, oxalate damage isn't immediate. It builds slowly, quietly, until one day your kidneys send a message you can't ignore. But here's the part that most people miss. You can still enjoy creamy textures and plant-based alternatives without hurting your kidneys. Sunflower seed butter offers similar richness with a far safer mineral profile. Coconut cream can replace cashew cream in sauces, and oat or rice milk can easily substitute for cashew milk without loading your kidneys with oxalates. The goal isn't to punish yourself, it's to make wiser swaps that protect your filtration system instead of overwhelming it. Cashews might seem harmless, but their oxalate load and mineral density make them a real threat for aging kidneys. But only understanding cashews still isn't enough, because the next nut isn't just problematic, it's the one most Americans assume is the healthiest of all. And that misunderstanding leads to even more kidney damage than you might imagine. If cashews are deceptive, then almonds are the master of disguise the nut America worships as the ultimate symbol of clean eating. Almonds are everywhere: almond milk, almond flour, almond butter, almond snacks in every grocery aisle. But what most people don't realize, especially those concerned about kidney health, is that almonds carry one of the highest oxalate loads found in any commonly eaten nut. And when I say high, I mean dangerously high for aging kidneys. I'll never forget a patient named Harold, a 49-year-old marathon enthusiast who came into my office pale and exhausted. He had been eating what he thought was the perfect heart-healthy diet, a large handful of almonds every morning, almond milk in his protein, shakes almond flour in his baked goods. When his creatinine suddenly spiked and he developed severe flank pain, he assumed dehydration from running was to blame. But his CT scan told another story: clusters of calcium oxalate crystals forming inside his kidneys. His diet hadn't just contributed, it had pushed him straight into acute kidney injury. Here's what the science says: a single ounce of almonds contains 3 times the upper limit of oxalates recommended for individuals at risk of kidney stones or declining kidney function. Oxalates act like microscopic shards. They bind with calcium, forming razor-sharp crystals that scrape kidney tissue as they move. And when these crystals accumulate in large amounts, they don't just cause stones, They embed themselves into the kidney structure, triggering inflammation scarring and a progressive condition called oxalate nephropathy. This isn't rare. It's documented in multiple NIH case reports, including one where daily almond overconsumption nearly destroyed a man's kidneys entirely. Let me ask you something. Do you use almond milk because you think it's healthier than dairy? Do you reach for almond snacks because everyone else seems to eat them? Guilt-free? Tell me in the comments, because so many people unknowingly follow food trends that work against their kidneys. Almonds aren't inherently evil. They're simply not safe when your kidneys are aging, filtering slower, or already battling inflammation. But there's a smart workaround. If someone absolutely cannot give up almonds, pairing them with a calcium-rich food, such as yogurt or a small piece of cheese, can reduce oxalate absorption in the gut before it reaches the kidneys. Still, for those with kidney concerns, the safest path remains limiting or removing almonds from daily habits. There are far better options coming up in the next section, ones that nourish your kidneys instead of harming them. Because almonds represent the turning point in this story, the moment people realize that not everything labeled healthy is harmless. But only understanding this isn't enough, because what comes next isn't just safer, it's the beginning of discovering the nuts that actively protect your kidneys. And the first one on that list might surprise you more than anything you've heard so far. After hearing about the dangers of almonds, most people assume every nut must be off limits. But that's not true, not even close. Because now we step into a completely different category: nuts that don't harm your kidneys, they actually help them. And at the top of that list is one of the most overlooked, most underrated, and most kidney-friendly nuts on the planet: macadamia. Macadamias are the quiet heroes of kidney nutrition. They're smooth, buttery, deeply satisfying, but their real power lies beneath the surface. Unlike pine nuts, cashews, or almonds, macadamias contain exceptionally low levels of potassium, around 104 milligrams per ounce, and only 53 milligrams of phosphorus, making them one of the gentlest nuts for aging kidneys. To put it simply, macadamias are like giving your kidneys a day off. They offer healthy fats, clean energy, and steady nourishment without loading your filtration system with minerals it struggles to remove. I often share the story of Margaret, a 67-year-old grandmother who came to my clinic exhausted from constantly worrying about what she could or couldn't eat. She felt punished by her diagnosis, afraid of every snack. When I introduced her to macadamias, she was skeptical. "Aren't nuts bad for kidneys?" she asked. But after adding just a small serving into her afternoon routine 2 to 3 hours after lunch, she began noticing real changes. Her energy improved. Her cravings dropped. Her kidney labs stabilized. For the first time in years, she felt like food wasn't the enemy. And the science supports what Margaret felt. Macadamias are rich in oleic acid, the same heart-protective monounsaturated fat found in olive oil. Research from USC has shown that oleic acid helps reduce inflammation on a cellular level, especially in delicate blood vessels like the ones surrounding your kidneys. When inflammation goes down, filtration improves. When filtration improves, creatinine stays stable. And when creatinine stays stable, the entire body functions more smoothly. Let me ask you, have you ever tried replacing your usual snack with macadamias? If not, tell me in the comments whether you'd be open to it, because the simplest swaps often create the biggest kidney-friendly wins. And here's a small tip: store macadamias in the refrigerator. Their high oil content keeps beautifully when chilled, giving you a fresh, crunchy, kidney-safe snack for weeks. But macadamias are only the beginning. They show us that the right foods don't just avoid harming your kidneys, they can actively support them. But knowing this isn't enough, because the next kidney-friendly nut brings a completely different kind of protection. And it's one most Americans barely pay attention to, even though its benefits are remarkable. If macadamias are the gentle protectors of kidney health, then hazelnuts are the quiet guardians, small, humble, often forgotten, yet surprisingly powerful for anyone trying to keep their kidneys functioning well. Most Americans think of hazelnuts only in connection with chocolate spreads or holiday desserts. But the pure, unsalted, unprocessed hazelnut is one of the most underrated kidney-supportive foods you can add to your diet. Hazelnuts carry a unique advantage that sets them apart from nearly every other nut: they're rich in gamma tocopherol, a special form of vitamin E, known for its strong anti-inflammatory effects, especially in the urinary tract. Researchers at Cornell University have shown that gamma-tocopherol helps protect delicate kidney tissues from oxidative stress, something that becomes more important with every passing year after age 50. This isn't theoretical, it's measurable physical protection. I think of Mr. Anderson, a soft-spoken 71-year-old who came to me frustrated by how sensitive his kidneys had become. Every time he ate nuts, he felt bloated, uncomfortable, or worried that he was doing something wrong. But when he switched to hazelnuts, just a small handful a few times a week, he found they were easier to chew, easier to digest, and easier on his kidneys. His phosphorus levels stabilized, his inflammation markers dropped, and he finally had a snack he could enjoy without fear. Sometimes the best foods aren't the trendy ones, they're the ones quietly backed by science. Hazelnuts contain 193 milliliters of potassium, 82 milliliters of phosphorus, and 4.2 grams of protein per ounce, all comfortably within the safe range for people managing kidney concerns. And because they become softer when roasted, they're perfect for seniors who struggle with crunchier nuts. If you enjoy cooking, try adding chopped hazelnuts to green beans or roasted vegetables. Their flavor is warm, rich, and comforting, almost like giving your kidneys a subtle, nourishing reset. But let me warn you about a common mistake. Do not confuse whole hazelnuts with chocolate hazelnut spreads or candy-coated versions. Those processed products are overloaded with sugar, palm oil, and additives that undo every kidney benefit hazelnuts provide. If you want the protective effects, stick to plain hazelnuts. Your kidneys deserve the real thing, not the sugary imitation. And now let me ask you, have you ever eaten hazelnuts as a standalone snack? Most people haven't. Comment below if hazelnuts are new to you, because many patients discover them only after their kidneys start complaining about other nuts. Sometimes the most powerful solutions are the ones we've overlooked for years. Hazelnuts widen our understanding of what kidney-friendly foods can look like. They're flavorful, gentle, nutritious, and they remind us that protecting our kidneys doesn't mean sacrificing taste. But learning about hazelnuts is still not the full picture, because the final nut on this list delivers a type of healing power that goes far beyond minerals. It reaches deep into inflammation control and vascular protection. And it might be the most important nut of all. And now we reach the final nut on our list, one that doesn't just avoid harming your kidneys, but actively works to protect them in ways few people ever realize. Walnuts are the warriors of kidney health. They may look rugged and wrinkled on the outside, almost like tiny brains, but inside they carry a level of anti-inflammatory power that has stunned researchers again and again. The secret lies in their alpha-linolenic acid, ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid found in no other tree nut at this concentration. While macadamias soothe the kidneys and hazelnuts calm inflammation, walnuts go even deeper. They help quiet the chronic low-grade inflammation that silently erodes kidney function year after year. Harvard Medical School published compelling evidence showing that people who eat walnuts regularly have significantly lower levels of C-reactive protein, a key marker of systemic inflammation tied directly to kidney decline. When CRP drops, blood vessels relax, filtration improves, and the kidneys breathe easier. One of my most memorable patients, a 64-year-old former construction manager named Leo, used to suffer from persistent swelling and sluggish kidney function. He was skeptical when I recommended walnuts. "A nut is a nut, right?" he joked. But after adding 7 to 10 walnut halves to his meals just 3 to 5 times a week, something remarkable happened. His inflammation markers began falling, his energy returned, his lab results steadied. And the man who once felt trapped by his kidneys told me he finally felt in control again. Sometimes the simplest foods create the most meaningful shifts. Walnuts are also incredibly easy to incorporate into your routine. Lightly toast them in a dry skillet for just a few minutes, not to cook them, but to release their natural sweetness. You'll taste a richer, fuller flavor that makes it feel more like a treat than a health food. Add them to oatmeal salads or even enjoy them plain. Their potassium and phosphorus levels remain manageable for most kidney-conscious individuals, especially when eaten in appropriate amounts. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever underestimated walnuts because they didn't seem as exciting as almonds or cashews? If so, you're not alone. Many people don't realize that the foods that look simple often carry the deepest healing potential. Drop a comment if walnuts are something you'd consider adding to your weekly routine. Your kidneys may thank you more than you expect. Walnuts complete the trio of nuts that support kidney health, not by accident, but by design. Each one offers a different layer of protection, a different mechanism, a different way of easing the burden on your filtration system. But only understanding these foods still isn't enough, because the most important part is knowing how all of this fits into the bigger picture of protecting your kidneys long term. And that final insight could change everything about the way you care for your health moving forward. Now that you've seen the full spectrum from the nuts that quietly strain your kidneys to the ones that nourish and protect them, you might be feeling a mix of relief and surprise. Most people never imagine that something as small as a nut could shape the future of their kidney health. Yet the truth is right here. Your everyday choices carry extraordinary power. Every handful, every habit, every decision either pushes your kidneys closer to danger or pulls them back towards stability. And the moment you understand that, everything about your health begins to shift. What matters now isn't just what you remove from your life, but what you begin adding: foods that reduce inflammation, choices that lighten your kidneys' workload, and habits that allow your filtration system to recover rather than collapse. Because kidney decline rarely happens overnight. It happens quietly, gradually, through years of choices that seem harmless at first, until one day the signs can no longer be ignored. But here's the part most people never hear. Changing your kidney health doesn't start with medication or complicated diets. It starts with clarity, knowing exactly which foods protect you and which ones sabotage you. And that clarity is what puts you back in control, no matter your age, no matter your lab numbers. But even everything we've covered still leads to one final truth, one insight that determines whether your kidneys stay stable or continue slipping toward danger. And this is what I want to share with you next. At the end of the day, I want you to remember something deeply important. Your kidneys are not fragile. They are resilient, intelligent organs that fight for you every single moment, even when you don't notice it. And the fact that you've watched this far tells me something powerful about you. It tells me you care, you're proactive, and you're willing to take the steps needed to protect your health. That alone already puts you ahead of most people who never take the time to understand what truly affects their kidneys. But don't let this knowledge fade after today. Save this video so you can come back to it whenever you need a reminder of which nuts protect your kidneys and which ones silently work against them. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I share clear, evidence-based kidney health guidance every week designed to help you stay informed, stay confident, and stay in control of your long-term health. Your kidneys deserve that level of care, and so do you. And before you go, hold on to this. Kidney decline is not inevitable. It is not a life sentence. With the right choices, the right knowledge, and the right support, you can slow, stabilize, and in many cases, meaningfully improve your kidney function. Hope is real. Progress is real, and you are capable of far more than you think. Thank you for being here with me today. Take care of yourself, take care of your kidneys, and I'll see you in the next video with even more tools to help you live stronger, longer, and healthier than ever.